In a small village on the outskirts of Cebu, Philippines, a young boy named Angelo lived with his mother and younger sister in a tiny wooden house beside a muddy riverbank. Life had never been kind to them. His father had passed away when Angelo was just 6, leaving behind nothing but a broken guitar, a few faded photographs, and dreams that never got the chance to come true. Since then, Angelo had carried that guitar everywhere he went, even though it was missing a string and its wood had cracked from years of heat and rain. For him, it wasn't just an instrument, it was the only thing that connected him to his father, who had once sung the same songs under the same roof. Every night, while his mother worked in a nearby food stall and his little sister slept on a bamboo mat, Angelo would sit by the flickering light of a candle, plucking soft tunes and whispering lyrics he barely understood. The music was his escape from hunger, loneliness, and the endless sound of rain dripping through the holes in their roof. But behind that gentle music was a dream so impossible that even he was afraid to say it out loud. He wanted to sing on the biggest stage in the world, where people didn't just hear you, they felt you. He wanted to make his father proud. He wanted to make his mother smile again. One day, while selling small packs of peanuts near a crowded bus station, Angelo noticed a group of people watching something on a small television in a shop window. The crowd laughed, cheered, and clapped as performers appeared on the screen. It was a global talent show, a place where ordinary people did extraordinary things. He saw singers, dancers, magicians, all from different parts of the world. But what struck him most was how the audience looked at them, with admiration, respect, and hope. For the first time, Angelo saw a world beyond poverty, beyond his small island. He whispered to himself, maybe, one day. Months passed, and the dream only grew louder in his heart. One evening, a foreigner named Mark, a retired music teacher from London, visited their area to take photos for a charity organization. While passing by a small alley, he heard a soft voice singing to the sound of a broken guitar. He followed the melody and found Angelo sitting on a wooden crate, eyes closed, singing, Hotel California. The sound wasn't perfect, but it was real. Every note carried pain, longing, and emotion so raw that it made the old man stop in his tracks. When Angelo finished, embarrassed, he lowered his head, expecting laughter or scolding. But instead, the man clapped slowly, eyes misty. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" he asked gently. Angelo shrugged. "From my father. He used to play this song before he died." Mark smiled sadly. "You have a gift, son. The world needs to hear it." The man offered to record him on his phone. A few days later, that video found its way onto the internet. It wasn't fancy, just a barefoot boy, singing under the moonlight with a cracked guitar, but it went viral overnight. People all over the world shared it, calling him, the voice from Cebu. Comments poured in from everywhere. "This boy sings with his soul. I cried listening to him. Someone needs to get him on a big stage." Then came the message that would change Angelo's life forever. A producer from an international talent show reached out, saying they wanted to invite him to audition. At first, Angelo thought it was a joke. How could a poor boy like him fly abroad? But the charity group that Mark worked with stepped in. They raised money, arranged the documents, and within weeks, Angelo was on his first ever airplane, heading to London to sing before thousands. The night before the audition, he sat quietly in his hotel room, staring at the city lights. Through the window, he missed his mother and sister. He missed the sound of waves against their wooden house. His heart was racing, but he remembered his father's words, "Son, when you sing, don't just use your voice. Use your heart." He closed his eyes and whispered, "I'll make you proud, Papa." The next morning, backstage was chaos. Contestants warmed up their voices, dancers stretched, and magicians practiced their tricks. Angelo stood alone, holding his old guitar, feeling completely out of place. His jeans were faded, his shirt too big, and his shoes slightly torn. Some people stared, whispering, wondering who he was. But when his name was finally called, everything went silent. He stepped onto the massive stage, lights blinding his eyes. In front of him sat 4 judges, including the legendary Simon Cowell. The audience looked curious, some even skeptical. After all, he was just a small boy from the Philippines, holding an old guitar. The host smiled kindly. "What's your name, young man?" Angelo answered softly, "My name is Angelo, sir." "And how old are you?" "I'm 15. What will you be performing for us today?" "Hotel California." The audience murmured. It was a bold choice, a song that even professionals struggled with. Simon raised an eyebrow. Hotel California. That's quite a song. Why this one? Angelo took a deep breath. Because it was my father's favorite. I sing it for him. The room went quiet. He adjusted the mic stand, strummed the first chord on his worn-out guitar, and began to sing. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. The first few notes were soft, shaky even, but then, something happened. His voice began to bloom, filling the theater with a haunting beauty no one expected. It was raw, pure, filled with emotion that cut through every heart in the room. The pain of loss, the loneliness, the hope, it was all there. Simon leaned forward, eyes narrowing, then softening. By the time Angelo reached the chorus, the audience was completely still. Some closed their eyes, others wiped tears, even the judges exchanged glances of disbelief. His voice soared higher, trembling yet powerful, carrying every ounce of his soul. And still those voices are calling from far away. He wasn't just singing a song. He was telling his story. Every word felt like it came from his heart, every strum from his father's memory. As he reached the final verse, the lights dimmed, leaving only a spotlight on him. His voice grew softer, breaking slightly as tears welled in his eyes. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. Silence. Complete silence. Then, slowly, the audience rose to their feet. The applause started small, then grew into thunder. People shouted, whistled, clapped, some even cried openly. Simon Cowell, usually the toughest of them all, sat frozen, his lips trembling. After a few moments, he stood and said quietly, "Angelo, I've been doing this for years. I've heard thousands of singers. But what you just did, it's something else. You didn't just perform a song. You lived it. You made all of us feel it." Another judge, Amanda, wiped tears from her cheeks. That was one of the most moving performances I've ever seen. Before Angelo could even react, the youngest judge slammed her hand down on the golden buzzer. Instantly, gold confetti exploded into the air. The crowd roared louder than ever. Angelo covered his mouth in shock as tears streamed down his face. The judges rushed to hug him. Simon whispered, "Never forget where you came from, son. You have something truly special." Backstage, he called his mother through video chat. She was crying uncontrollably, his little sister jumping with joy beside her. "You did it, Anik. You did it," she said. He smiled, still holding his guitar. "We did it, Mama." The video of his performance spread like wildfire online. Within days, millions had watched it. News outlets covered his story. Poor Filipino boy stuns the world with Hotel California. Celebrities tweeted about him. Even members of the Eagles, the original band, praised his rendition, calling it a performance from the heart. But what people loved most wasn't just his voice, it was his humility. Despite all the fame, he still spoke softly, still wore the same smile, still thanked everyone who helped him. When asked in interviews what he would do with the prize money, he said, "I'll fix our roof, and maybe build a small music school in Cebu for kids like me." Weeks later, during the finals, Angelo returned to the stage, this time wearing a simple white shirt and jeans. He performed an original song he wrote for his father, called "Home in the Sky." The lyrics spoke of love, loss, and hope, a message to his dad that even though he was gone, his spirit lived on through music. By the end of the song, everyone in the theater was standing. The judges were crying. Simon couldn't speak. He just pressed his hands together, nodded, and whispered, "Perfection." When the votes came in that night, Angelo didn't just win the show, he won the hearts of the world. Back in his hometown, the entire village gathered around a small television powered by a car battery, cheering and crying as their boy was crowned the champion. Fireworks lit up the sky, and for the first time in years, his mother smiled without sadness in her eyes. Months after his victory, Angelo used part of his prize money to rebuild their home and start a small music program for underprivileged children. Every weekend, he taught them songs, telling them, "Music saved me. Maybe it can save you too." He traveled to different countries, performed on big stages, met famous musicians, but he never forgot where it all began, that rainy night, a broken guitar, and a promise to make his father proud. Years later, in an interview, a journalist asked him, "When did you realize your life had changed?" Angelo smiled and said, "The moment I sang that first line of Hotel California on stage. I wasn't just singing for me. I was singing for every child who ever felt small, forgotten, or afraid to dream." The interviewer leaned in. Do you still have that old guitar? He nodded. Of course. It's broken, but it's part of my story. It reminds me that even something imperfect can create something beautiful. And so, the boy who once sang barefoot in the streets became a symbol of hope. His story traveled across borders, inspiring millions to chase their dreams no matter where they came from. Because sometimes, it's not about how perfect your voice is, it's about how true your heart is. In the final scene of his documentary, he's seen standing on the same hill where he used to play as a child, watching the sunset with his sister. She asks softly, "Kuya, do you think Papa heard you sing that day?" Angelo smiles. "I know he did." He strums the same old guitar, now mended but still scarred, and hums the tune that started it all. The wind carries his song across the mountains, across the sea, and into hearts that need a reminder, that even from the poorest places, light can rise, music can heal, and dreams can come true. That night, as the stars fill the sky over Cebu, a young boy's voice echoes softly, the same voice that once silenced the world, singing the same words that changed his life forever. Welcome to the Hotel California. And somewhere far beyond the clouds, perhaps, a proud father smiles.